Welcome to the Locksmith documentary, episode 13. Today, we're going to check out some safes being dropped off at the scrapyard. When I started to shut down the safe moving portion of my company, we had a few safes left over that were fairly badly damaged, and so they were just really scrap metal. And one of those was a Chatwood Milner safe, about 2,800 pounds, and this machine just plucked it right out of the back of the trailer with ease. Alrighty, we're going to be installing a Lockheed USA lock on this sliding glass door. Okay, so they've just basically got some old parts that we really can't find anymore, and they just need some kind of locking solution on here. So the nice part about these is they have a hook that actually hooks in, so we'll be able to actually put something on here and give them a digital option. It's a mechanical option, but it's a keypad. That mechanical keypad will work great in the cold weather environments. Here you can see the lock fully installed, and we start off by actually locking the lock and the strike plate together. As you can see here, you can see how that big latch swoops up and locks in very tightly and very securely. So what I like to do, because this is a custom kind of one-of-a-kind installation, is I actually lock the two pieces together and then draw out the section that needs to be cut out on the frame side of the door. I use my multi-tool or multi-material tool and cut that material out, and then mount the strike plate on the frame side with these two screws. You can use these two screws that come with it, or if you want a little more security, you could add a longer screw that would go much deeper in, but these seem to be adequate for this particular installation, so that's what we used there. And then again, to line up where the drill holes go, or the template, simply lock the two pieces together so that you know they're going to fit, and then I use the back mounting rubber plate to actually gauge where the holes need to go, and then just simply mark those out with a pencil or whatever you have, a Sharpie. You're going to drill that material out anyways. Just be really careful when drilling this out to make sure that you make a nice clean hole and that the hole is large enough for the two studs to go through and the actual tailpiece that's going to go through into that little portion right there, that round portion with the two little diamond shapes on it. Here we're putting the two halves together, and you can increase the thickness with the shims. There's like plastic little pieces that will extend the thickness if need be, or the little rubber gaskets that come with them as well need to be installed to help keep the weather out of it. And then after those two halves are put together, make sure that everything functions nice and smooth, and this installation is complete. You can look up more information at Lockheed USA to find the perfect locking solution for you and your requirements. So the door is not rolling smoothly. I believe it's off the track here, or off the rollers. So we're going to see what we can do to get that back on. So we've got our inspection scope here, and the inspection scope uses a light LED, make sure you're orientated correctly, and now we can see right where that wheel is not engaging. So you can see the wheel here, right there. Okay, so that's the wheel, and it is not on the track, so we're going to have to get that on the track. Alright, so let's see what we can do. Just got a little blue bar here. Lift that sucker up. Let's see if we can put it over. So I'm going to also, there's an adjustment here. This adjustment needs to be all the way in the down position, so that we can actually set it where it needs to be, which is right there, I believe. Okay, let's take a look-see here. Looks like our wheel is up on the track. Okay, let's do the same for the back. Okay, so yet again we have the same issue. I've got the camera down in there. You can see this is the wheel, and it needs to be onto the actual track frame. So let's see how we do that. So we're gonna start by taking this little blue pry bar and a fairly large flat blade screwdriver, and you can see what I'm doing is there's actually a little plug that needs to be pulled out. There's like a little cover plug, and that gives you access to a flat blade screw that adjusts the wheel. And because I'm trying to put it back onto the track, I'm actually adjusting it all the way up, so it's sucking the wheel up towards the glass, so it gives me more room to lift the door up and get it up and over the lip and actually set it back onto the track that it needs to run on. Then once I have it back on the track, you can see I'm looking into the camera now to make sure that the wheel is aligned and running on the track itself. Then when I have it on the track itself, we'll use the screwdriver and go back in and rotate it in the opposite direction to go ahead and raise the wheel, push it away from the glass, and now you can see that we're starting to roll a little bit easier. From here, it's a fine adjustment. If you adjust too high, then you're going to start rubbing on the top part of the frame. If you don't have it adjusted high enough, then it'll drag on the bottom portion like it was before. So several things need to happen here and all be aligned to make sure that everything's working really well. I will also do a very good job of cleaning the track out. Simply cleaning this and lubricating that wheel with some tri-flow is going to improve the operation as good as it's going to get. So a lot of people don't want to work on these sliding glass doors or don't know how to. I find that I do quite a few of them, and they pay very well because, like I said, not a lot of people really know how it works. All right, now one finger, locked, one finger open.
Hey everyone, this is Wayne here, and I want to talk about Freeman manufacturing for a second. First of all, the Freeman No. 2 key machine is hands down one of the biggest staple marks in the locksmith industry. If you have not used this machine before, I definitely recommend using one and trying it out and using it in your van. I have had one in my work trucks that has been wrecked twice. Literally, the vehicle was wrecked 2 completely separate times, and the Freeman No. 2 survived. Also, any of their other key machines, their duplication machines, they're all built to the same standards with the same high quality precision parts. The machines usually outlast the locksmith. So if you are going to be considering getting a new key machine for your shop or your van, consider Freeman manufacturing. I use them and they are of the highest quality and utmost precision. Thank you very much, and check out Freeman manufacturing.
Freeman Manufacturing also supports the Asa Abloy Academy and can usually be found in their keying class. Alright, so we did adjust. So one of the things we did is the weather stripping was actually kind of touching. So we sucked these screws down and made those as tight as possible on here. That was one of the issues. Seems to be taking care of the problem now. We also lubricated everything up here and that hinge so it quits making so much noise. And it seems to be locking every single time. Yeah. If this does not solve the problem and you continue to have problems, we'll need to put an external closer like this over here. Okay, so that'll help give it some pressure to draw in, but as of right now, we've done this 20 times and haven't had a problem. So you're good. Here we've got some more footage of some more of that scrap metal getting tossed out. This guy seemed to really enjoy his job and be very good at it in that machine. You can tell he spent a lot of time there. Here we've got a very, very unique setup. This is an electrified multi-point locking system. So multi-point locking systems are very complex and complicated already. Adding a electrified portion to it only further complicates that. So here's the old cassette. That's what they refer to that portion, is the cassette. And then here's the new cassette. You can see it's nice and clean. As a small business, RMR, or recurring monthly revenue, is a huge factor and has literally changed the way I do business. Simply by leaving some information about the Halo Pulsar security system can add thousands to your monthly income. Click below.
Okay, so what we've done is actually cut this out on what's called a control key blank here. And you'll notice that it only pulls our turns just a little bit. So you can see there's flush and center and it's attached. And then now just this little couple degrees off, just like that. And it actually removes the entire core. So now we have the entire core pulled out and we can see exactly what the problem is. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Okay, so you can see what the problem is here and you can see our control key. I'll show you how this works here in just a little bit. Basically, you just, in order to get to build, the nice part about the Schlage large format interchangeable core system is you literally just copy the key onto a control blank and it has this extra little tip. And that extra little tip is what retracts the control lug here. Okay, that's all it does. But you can see the problem. If I can fit my thumbnail in here, that means there's that much slop in this lock for it to actually try and pull the pins out. So when I try and pull this key out, it won't pull out. That's why you holding and pushing and using that pinching motion will actually keep it in place. So in order to fix this, what we'll do is push this down and push this little detent down. Tighten this up. Quite a few turns. Wow, that was really loose. And then the idea is you tighten it all the way down and then back it off in one click. And if you do that, then we should have a successful open. Now that goes in much better. You can see there's no gap here. And notice how the key comes out very easily. Okay, that's what we want to have happen. Okay, so we do that and it just pops right out because there's no more space here. And then it retracts the control lug and the other key should work as well. All right, so we're going to reinstall this control key in. And that's it. Now it's fixed. And we'll try the operating key to make sure that everything works. Alrighty, and our key goes in the lock, turns over, comes right back out. Absolutely no problem at all. We are now fixed and repaired. Simple repair, just knowing the correct tools and how to get to this. No matter what you did, if you don't have that control key, you cannot get to the back side of this and you cannot solve the problem unless you solve the control key issue.
This portion is sponsored by Select Hinge continuous hinges. They are my go-to when it comes to long-term, heavy-duty, lifetime solutions.
Okay, here we have yet again another misinstalled hinge. This has got a continuous hinge, and you can tell that they got rid of the pivots, which is good, but the door is not actually closing, and you can see how it's rubbing on the ground. So it's rubbing all along here. And they just didn't even lift it high enough. They actually used all the through bolts, but unfortunately just didn't lift the door high enough in the beginning. And then let's just go ahead and close the door. You can see this giant gap up here. That should have obviously been closed. So what we have to do is we have to peel the cap on the frame side, since this has through bolts, right? Remember, we got through bolts that go all the way through. We're not moving those anywhere. We have to peel this side off, and then we'll actually pull all those screws out, get the airbags under it, lift it back up, and then we'll have to drill all new holes for those frame side screws and then put those back in and then put everything back together. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So one of the reasons that they probably didn't put this up high enough is they ran into this top pivot. Now I've managed to pull the other screws out, but we've got one that's stripped that's stuck up in there, so I'm going to show you a little trick for that. Okay, you can see that we've got that one right there. So I'm going to actually use this Dremel tool and cut a flat slot in that screw. And when I do that, it'll allow us to get a flathead on there, and it'll allow us to pull that out.
This is going to be one of those tricks that just saves you time and time again, being able to know how to overcome obstacles out in the field.
All right, so it's really fighting us here. It does not want to play well. So now we're gonna have to move to our next step, which is to drill that out. Yeah, we're gonna have to drill that thing out from the beginning.
9 times out of 10, that trick will work, where you just cut a flat slot in there and then use a very large flat blade screwdriver and get some serious torque on there. Even that didn't work on this one. It was so badly stripped. So what we had to do is go to a drill, and basically you just start with a small drill bit, like a little 16th or 1/8 inch drill bit, and keep enlarging it, drill through the head of the screw until you drill completely through it and get it out of the way so you can take it off. Here is that top pivot. You can see that that screw is still in there. It was practically welded in place. Quite literally, there was nothing that was going to get that thing out of the way. So we just had to drill the head off of the screw until it came out. Now I'm actually peeling the cap, and because I did that very, very gently, I'm actually going to be able to reinstall that same cap. Now, if you do damage your cap and it's not able to be replaced or put back on, you would be able to order just that screw cap so it can conceal those screws from Select Hinge or from your supplier, and that will be a good solution.
Okay, so now we've got all these pulled, and you'll see that we have to just kind of go half a hole or less than half a hole up. And in order to do that, we'll just have to re-drill all those holes.
So that's the reason that I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it. You can't really move the through bolts. Those are 3/8 holes that are very specific, and they're drilled all the way through the door. And that's also what makes this so difficult. Really, once you get that hinge put in place and drill the through bolts through, there really isn't a whole lot of movement unless you do it on the frame side.
Okay, so you can see we've got them all re-drilled. That half hole is just moved over. And then I'm going to try and attempt to put this cap back on. I doubt it'll go on, but if it does, great. If not, I can order another one and we can replace it that way.
We were actually very pleasantly surprised that it went on very easily, just using a rubber dead blow hammer so that you don't damage the cap itself or anything around it. Also, using metal would not be a good idea. It's going to dent and scratch, and then if you miss, you're going to be hitting the glass as well. So a good dead blow hammer will put this thing right back in place.
Okay, so I knew this was going to happen, and it was kind of done intentionally, but we almost over-raised it because there just wasn't a whole lot of room at the bottom. So I'd rather over-raise it, and then now part of the distortion right here, which we're going to cover all of this up. We're going to get all this covered up here and clean that up. And the only spot it's hitting is right here on this corner, and it goes past. It's just a little sticky, as you can see there. Okay, so we're gonna fix that up for them and get that trimmed down, but we had no more room at the bottom, so we had to get we have to trim a part of the door, whether we trim it down there or trim it up here, because the whole frame is out of alignment, okay? There's just only so much room between there and here, and I'd rather have it up here where I can deal with it as opposed to down there.
Now that we have the portion that we need to take off of the door at the top of the door, I'm just going to use my angle grinder and take an 1/8 inch or so, maybe 1/16 of an inch off of that material, and just take a little bit and then a little bit more and a little bit more until it operates smooth. We now know why that top pivot wasn't taken out by the company that originally installed this hinge, because it was so severely stripped and so badly damaged when it was in there. You saw how much it took to get out of there. We had to literally drill that last screw out, and the other company just didn't put forth the effort to do so. But because they didn't do that, they weren't able to mount the hinge high enough, and because they weren't able to mount the hinge high enough, they never actually solved the problem of the door dragging on the ground. So they didn't take a few extra steps that needed to be taken, and therefore they didn't actually solve the problem. That's why we had to come back in, clean up what they did, and actually install it properly. So now we're testing the door. You want to test several times.
Alrighty, now door opens, shuts. We'll get a cover for that, and everything is working really good. It looks like this door is probably a little bent too, because see, we're flush here, and then we're sticking out a little bit there, which tells me that the wind grabbed a hold of this thing, whipped it, and you can tell just by that. We had to also completely reinstall the door closer.
Aluminum stickers from Professional Business Products cover up all the scarring.
Okay, so it took all of that work to get this to happen. One finger operation. Okay, so that's what it took. Because the door was dropped so low, because it was hitting down there, it wasn't closing all the way. And then that also allowed the top to drop, and it allowed the alignment for the lock to drop here. So basically everything, all of the problems in this were all caused by an improperly installed continuous hinge, and this happens all the time. There's a reason I charge premium rates for installing continuous hinges where we make almost $500 an hour, okay? That's why, is because of this right here. We do it once, and you don't have to pay somebody to do it twice, and we do it right the first time. Now, notice that we fixed the hole up there. We got all this stuff. I'm gonna clean all this stuff. We're gonna get the vacuum and get everything all cleaned up, but that's what it took to be able to get what the customer wanted, which is one finger, easy operation. So, yet another one down in the back. Watching Locksmith Live.
This portion is sponsored by Frontline Defense Systems. There's simply nothing better to protect your door latch than a Frontline Defense interlocker.
Never know what you're gonna find. This little ditty dropped out of there when I pulled this bolt out, so watch out, they can get in there. Luckily nobody was home. Alrighty, so here's another example. They had this kind of janky residential grade schlag lock on here. The latch is pretty much busted up. So because we actually did such a good job on that door over there, they actually had us replace the passage lever down here. So I just put a passage lever here, and then they wanted the deadbolt as their security. So we sold an additional lever set, commercial grade lever set, ADA compliant commercial grade lever set, and rebuilt this deadbolt so that it worked better, and just added that much more to the existing ticket. So because we did really good on one job, they trust us to do the rest of it. So that's really, really important. It wasn't an upsell. It was, hey, you guys did really good work. Nobody else has been able to fix what we have, the problem that we have. Nobody's been able to fix it. You were, in a timely manner and for a reasonable price. So why don't you look at the rest of the building? This is how you turn $500 into $1,000. So that's just it.
Now we're going to change batteries on a Lockley guard.
First thing is this right here. I'm going to pull this little tricky deal up right there. And we have a screwdriver. And go in, and there's a screw. And when you take that out, eventually, off this side. There you go. And then voila, there is your battery pack. Just got to know about that screw. And
You seen that screw back there in the hole, but we're like sticking it in there like there ain't nothing there, but you got to take that little cover off.
yeah. So here's your old bid batteries. New batteries right in. Back in she goes. Green light comes on. There, tells us that everything's all good. And baby goes back in here. Screwdriver. Right. And cover plate. Go ahead. Do you have your fingerprint or do you have a code programmed in there? Out. Make sure that it works. Good. Go ahead and do it. Okay. Yep. Good. Yep. Good. Hey everyone, this is Wayne here with Pacific Lock Company and Pack Blue by Pack Lock. This is a Pelican case demo unit that you can literally have in your van or in your shop. You could set this up in your shop, but really within the Pelican case unit, you can actually send this out with your technicians. I have used this system and been able to sell it right on the spot because I had this directly right in my truck ready to go. I'm going to show you what's inside here real quick. You just pop these little clips. It's a very compact, very eye-catching little unit. And as soon as you pull it out, you really have your customer's attention. It has this laminated portion here so you can tell them all about the features. And this is the easiest to install hardwired electronic access system on the market, hands down. This is your power supply. It's this big. It's the size of a pack of cards or a deck of cards, for crying out loud. This is your power supply, and this is your reader. It communicates with your phone app so that you can actually operate the unit. And if people ask, well, there's no keypad on the outside, there's no reader on the outside, there's no credential reader, it's a clean installation. And you can literally show them how this works just by using the external device right here. This pops off and allows you to add a 9-volt battery. So if your customer asks you, hey, what happens if the power goes out on my building? How do I actually operate this system? Well, you hook that 9-volt battery up right to this right here. You could install it on the outside just like a mechanical key override, and then your blue light will come on, and you can literally show them how their system would work. Here's the button on the back to go ahead and release, and you can also show them how the app works. You can connect this to your phone, to your text phone. They can show how the app works. They push the button, it unlocks, or you can show them how the button works right here. Okay, super easy, super clean, super cool, and it shows them and gives them an idea of how this system works right in their hand. Okay, so this is the electronic strike version that they're going to give you with the 9-volt battery. The other one, they're going to give you a magnetic locking system. It's going to plug directly into your transformer. We could plug this into the 9-volt battery unit too, but I actually have this set up to where it's plugged right into power. So you literally just grab your power cord, and this is, instead of hiring an electrician and having a power supply, that's all you do. Then it brings the light on to blue, as you can see here. Click. You show them that the magnetic lock works, just like that. The mag lock works right there. And then when you hit the button on the app, click, and the magnet comes off. Okay, power comes back on, magnet sticks back on. You can literally put this in your customer's hands, let them touch it, let them feel it, let them see it, and it looks awesome. It looks like it's new and fresh and secure more than anything else, with no external keypads. This is the future of electronic access. For more information, check out the website below. Please call or email your supplier and ask them for the Pacific Lock Company's Pack Blue system, and ask them for this demo case right here so that you can show this to your customers and start selling this today. You can also get monthly recurring revenue from products like this, because there's a monthly subscription that goes along with it that you can actually get a piece of, so you can earn money long term. Every time you sell one of these systems, you get monthly recurring revenue for your business and your company. Thanks for watching. Check out Pack Blue by Pack Lock. Thanks for watching.
I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Locksmith documentary. Please subscribe.